Hello, selectors, and welcome back to Life Burst Podcast. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Tiffany. Welcome back to Life First Podcast, a Wheatcross podcast where we talk about all the Wheatcross things and only the Wheatcross things. And today is part two.
It's true. Tiffany,
Yeah.
how was your wheat cross last 5 minutes
Yeah.
between the when we recorded?
So incredibly short.
Great. You got tea. That's a new one.
Yes, I refreshed my tee. I'm wearing the same shirt as last time.
Good.
We
Yeah.
may or may not be just filming this directly right after the
Yeah.
other one. You'll never know.
Take one obnoxious sip so we can get it out of the way.
Oh my god, this is gonna be hot.
You don't have to. It's gonna scald you. I don't.
I powered through because I love you.
So dumb.
It's like a Pokemon. It's actually not that hot. It'll be perfect in about 2 minutes.
Yeah. Wow. Great.
Wow, great.
We can kick it off.
Let's just jump right back into where we left off. So we just finished talking about if you are catching up, you can go see the part one. We were just going through the aggressive package for the new Dissonance Signies that
Right.
are coming out and Dissonance Lyrics. So now where are we jumping back in on?
Tangentially related to aggression, there's also stats. I didn't know what
Why did
to
you say
label
it
this
like
because
that?
it's I don't know stats. Woo stats! But it's not like walls because walls are like doc. You can't break through me. So that's a separate package. Stats
Ooh,
is
spoilers.
stats on your turn, right? Which is enough to mention that it matters, but not enough of a big part of the game to be like it matters a lot. But it does
Okay.
come up, right? Um, and so for example, one of my common plays that I was making at the GP constantly was I had a Typhon. Typhon you can exceed to make it a 15k. I would smack that thing down on turn 2 all the time against the opponent's Machina level 1 in front of me and be like, you ain't growing this, you ain't killing my 15k with that negative 12k.
Typhon is so annoying.
So it does matter sometimes to have stats on your turn, right? Usually it's better to have stats on your monster, but sometimes it matters.
So when you're talking about stats, you're just talking about like the power level?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I'm actually gonna live pull that up because I forgot to do that. It's a 3k. So doing it live. So sometimes it does matter, right? And Bang is an obvious one. It can turn into a 15k, right? Which means that it can vanish anything, really.
It's yeah.
It can vanish remembers, and sometimes that kind of thing matters.
Mm-hmm.
The more interesting one is this level 1 angel here,
Mm-hmm.
which when it attacks, oh, that's the wrong ability. Everything's wrong here.
Please bear with us.
I'll just read you what it is verbatim off of the top of my head. Once per turn, when this Signy attacks, it gives target other Dissona on your field plus that 5,000 power.
Okay, so only one target Dissona
Only one.
on your field?
On your field.
Okay.
When it attacks. When that Dissona attacks too, that's the triggers. It doesn't have to be this Dissona that attacks. It's when a Dissona attacks, you can give it that 5,000 boost.
Okay.
It also has a very good life burst, which is vanish target Signy 8,000 or less.
Okay.
You'd play that card in a red deck regardless, just because of the life burst. But this also has that ability, which matters sometimes. So, for example, if we just were to quickly scroll back up to one of our earlier ones,
Mm-hmm.
Werewolf.
Oh.
What's Werewolf's total power?
Werewolf is a 3.
But what happens when you add a 5 to it?
Don't make me do math on the fly.
It's an
5,
8.
6, 7, 8.
Yeah, it's an 8. Level 1 walls, and often level 2 walls that try to stop you, happen to be what power?
Level 1 and 2 walls?
Yeah, that stop damage. Usually are 7,000 power, 8,000 power.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is...
So this will help it lancer through those larger
Correct.
Signies.
Yeah, not level 2, because I'm wrong on that, because this can only do level 1s. But there are level 1 walls in this set
Yeah, that are just like
that are
plain.
plain power
Well,
8,000.
yeah, I mean, you have your multicolors.
Yeah,
Like your standard multicolors are level ones, but they're 5,000
correct.
power because they don't have any other abilities. So,
So this
yeah.
is a wombo combo.
Wombo
If you're
combo.
running werewolf, you might want to consider this as being a natural pairing with it. Also has a good life burst.
This one's cool. I like that the art implies that she's actually like a ball jointed doll
Oh yeah, it does.
with her elbow and wrist, but like it's not on her waist. Like that's interesting. I need to. Oh wait, it is.
Is it on her waist?
Yeah, it's just that the pearls are kind of covering it up a bit.
Oh yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah,
it
like
is.
some ball jointed dolls are cut just above where the ribs
Interesting.
would be.
Yeah, and it's an angel signy, so maybe it's
I'll have to
a
look into that a little bit.
angels usually are like gods or deities from other non and Christian faiths.
Well,
Um,
yes, gods and deities,
yeah. So
respectively.
moving on to the other form of stats.
We already talked about this Signy though.
It's walls. What are you talking about? Bang? We
Yeah.
already talked about bang. No, now I'm
Okay.
talking about walls next.
Let's talk about walls. I actually love Wally Signies.
You know, you too.
I really do. Like I love being able to just put something on the field and be like, try
You
and deal with
you have
this.
very much grown from being an aggro player that's like, let me see the world burn, to be like putting up your shield and like with like a little lance or spear or something like.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think I've always kind of been like that though, where I really like being able to like put like big like just bigger signies that just have a sign that say deal with it,
Mhm.
like and kind of put the onus on my opponent. I
Yeah,
think I'm using that term
I think so. Yeah,
correctly.
yeah.
Um because then you can kind of focus on your own stuff when you've already put up your defenses.
Yep.
So these are our big defensive signies. Let's talk about them. So we've got a level 2. I can't read Japanese, but please feel free to translate.
Guillotine.
Guillotine?
She's swinging on a guillotine.
That's not how guillotines work.
Yep.
That's how pendulums work. But yeah, okay, so guillotine. It's a level 2 white signy with power 8,000. Constant during your opponent's turn, other Dissonance signy get plus 2,000 power.
Yep. Take those 3,000s, make them 5K.
Make them really annoying.
Try to avoid like music and
That's
stuff
very
like that.
typical white. I mean,
Mhm.
we've seen that well, we've not seen that particular ability, but we know that white likes to become more defensive on the opponent's turn.
Yep.
So yeah, that makes sense. And then enter one colorless. This Signy gets plus 5,000 power. Oh my god, until the end of your opponent's next turn.
Yeah, which is cool because theoretically I should have also thrown this on the stats on your turn thing. That's a 13K on your turn and the opponent's turn.
Mm-hmm.
Which is big.
That's really annoying.
That's big. I mean
Yeah.
that kills again a remember. Remember's the biggest thing we know.
Mm-hmm. You've also got Donna up here.
Yep. Donna, which we talked about in the last podcast, is your opponents get or your other sign get plus 3,000 power.
Yeah.
So that's another way to buff things out of range. We've also got a level 1 Nova. This is the Tokiyuki of the set. If you know Tokiyuki, you know this card. At the end of your turn, reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a Dissona, this Signy gets plus 5,000 power until end of your opponent's next turn. And it's worth mentioning, by the way, Dissona is a card type, not a Signy type. So Dissona cards can also be those spells that we saw. So when you flip over one of those spells that we did earlier,
Oh.
that's also a Dissona.
But it's not a Signy though.
Nope. It's a card type.
Oh.
Like think of it as a card subtype almost.
Okay. So, hold on. So wait, so when you're paying for abilities, like for Firecracker, like you could discard a Dissona spell.
Correct.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
let me-
thought that
let me
it was only
Jump
for
over here real
Signy.
quick and reveal.
But yeah,
what
you're
I'm there.
right. Wait, no.
Yeah.
Where does it say Dissona on these spells?
So go up to one of the spells
Yeah.
real quick. And I just moved it. So theoretically you should be able to see it now. It's there. You can trust me.
I trust you. No, I'm sure you're right. Because some of these do clarify Dissona cards versus Dissona Signies.
Yeah.
So that makes sense to me. All right.
So again, Tokiyuki, 8,000 on your opponent's turn. Very good.
Yeah.
And those are your white walls. And worth mentioning, this is the first time we're really seeing white show up in any respect, like as
So
a thing.
far, yeah,
Yeah,
we've really talked about like green and black
and
and
red.
red. Not that the colors matter too much.
Yeah, notice no blue
Um,
has shown up either yet so far.
well, we talked about Eldora briefly, but that was a assist
Yeah, it's
Loreg.
just a system rig that's not necessarily connected
Um,
to Zona.
but yeah, like I think that white's instead of being like, because white's been very like control slash aggro,
Yeah.
now it's becoming much more defensive. So maybe during the Dissona arc, we'll see white become more of a mid-range color.
Yeah, I still think you'll see a bunch of people running Anj or Tama mono white
Why
aggro.
wouldn't
Because
you?
why wouldn't you? That deck is still
Why
just as
wouldn't
good as
you?
it was before.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is your white walls, but there's more walls here.
Mm-hmm.
We go into the second section. I had to split it into two because
Mm-hmm.
there's a couple of them. We also see some walls in green and black.
Yes.
So
Look at Odd. She's so cute.
we've got this one. I don't know what its name is, but it's a level 1 green Signy power 3000 that has constant shadow 3000 power. That's an interesting one.
Shadow 3000 power.
Yep.
Interesting.
And it's got a life burst, enter charge 1. The next time you take damage from a Signy, you don't.
Okay.
So the interesting thing about Shadow 3000 power is what we talked about in the last podcast, what was probably the 4 best cards of the set
Mm-hmm.
are those 4 aggressive Signy.
Yeah.
And they all happen to have lower power than
Well, yes.
not that Lancer still goes through it. I'm not again, that's one of the reasons why Werewolf is good here.
Mm-hmm.
But it's worth mentioning that it does protect you against those red and black cards.
Well, I think what's also interesting about that is shadow, giving something shadow for a power level means that you can make really big cards quite small by stacking negative effects, and then suddenly it just gets shadow from something.
Sure.
While that might be really hard to do and probably would end up being a major drain of a resource, it's worth thinking about.
Yeah, I agree. Alternatively, you've also got let's just skip the level 2 for a second. You've got sorry, you speak your truth about Ott.
I love her.
Go ahead.
That's okay.
No, go for it.
All right, so this is level 2 green. It's 8,000 power. Constant, as long as this Signy is in the center Signy zone, this Signy gets plus 4,000 power. Nice. Auto, when this card is put into your Ener zone from your deck, you may add this card from your Ener zone to your hand. Life Burst, Ener Charge 1, this turn, the next time you would take damage from a Loreg attack, instead you do not.
I actually really like that Life Burst. It's, I think, one of Green's best Life Bursts.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it almost always hits. Whereas the opposite one, the next time you take damage from a Signy, you don't.
I mean, when would a Loreg not attack?
Right.
In the very small instance that Loreg has been frozen and your opponent chooses not to attack with it. Exactly. Which is like 1 out of 10 times. So yeah, this is almost guaranteed to stop a Loreg damage, which is great. Plus the Ener charging to set you up for your next turn, also very nice.
Yep. And you can Ener charge this, get it to your hand instead if you want. It's a fine. It's not the best option, but it's fine.
Yeah, taking Ener away from green is a little tricky, but I can understand why you might want to have this in your hand to play it instead. When this card is put into your Ener zone from your deck.
Yeah, basically when it gets Ener charged.
If it gets Ener charged, you can add it to your hand instead. And with as much Ener charge as green normally gets anyways, I don't think that that's the biggest loss.
Yeah, converting like if you're in late game and you've already got more Ener than you know what to do with, converting one of those things that says Ener charge 1 to draw 1 can help you win those games.
Yeah, and being able to put down a level 2, was it 8, 9, 10, 11, 12,000 power in your center zone? That's a really nice wall.
Super acceptable.
Yeah, I agree. It's almost like a guaranteed to have this wall at some point in the game because you can just put it right into your hand. Cool.
This level 1 that we're going to talk about next is a black level 1 called Monkey's Paw.
Spooky.
It has 2,000 power and says as long as you have 3 or more Dissona Signy in your trash, Dissona cards in your trash, then you get plus 5,000 power. Its enter ability is you put the top 3 cards of your deck into your trash. And then it gets a life burst, which I like. I like this life burst actually quite a bit. You discard a card if you do. Target Signy on your opponent's field gets negative 12,000.
Yeah, that'll wipe out pretty much anything.
You can't overload on those much, but for a couple extra 3 in your deck maybe or so, it's good. This is your utility self mill black card. You know?
Yeah. Also, again, this goes back into, I mean, like, this is like a total offshoot, so like, please feel free to ignore this advice. But you could use this life burst to knock down a 15k to a 3, and then the other Signy gets Shadow. Boom.
Sure.
You're done.
Nice.
It's terrible advice. Don't listen to
me. It's a wall. This thing's 7k.
Yeah. It's a 7k wall.
Yeah, Baphomet was a fine card. This is basically Baphomet with a life burst.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Moving right along. Ooh.
Yeah. Ener Charge. We said this was going to be in the next. We were going to see this, and
look
here we
at
are.
This amazing artwork. She's so pretty.
Which one? They both are pretty.
The level 2 Signy for Ener Charge.
Ivy.
Ivy, is that her name?
Yeah.
I adore that. That is really cute.
Yeah, green's claim to fame here. It's pretty easy to Ener Charge with green for this set, which is great because this set is also pretty aggressive, but also kind of Ener hungry. So green ends up having a niche it can do, and people want. Right?
Our time has come.
I know. Often you'd be like, well, green can do this. You'd be like, when do you want to do that? The answer is never. The answer this time is no. It's doing a powerful thing. It's Ener Charging well, and it's also needed.
Yeah.
In this specific archetype. So it has a very serious niche, right? So your Ivy, what this does is level 2. That at the beginning of your attack phase, as long as all of your Dissona on your field, or as long as all the Signy on your field are Dissona, you get to Ener Charge 1. Again,
which is almost a guarantee.
Yeah,
if you're stacking your deck correctly with Dissona, that shouldn't be a problem.
Right. And it's worth mentioning, by the way, I guess I should have said this too, when it comes to the chances of stuff. Nova actually does have a chance to miss, because you're probably also running 4 guards.
Mm-hmm.
So Nova's chance to hit is like 95%, but there is that 5% of the time it is not going to hit.
Mm-hmm.
This, you need to have all Dissona clearly on your field, and you get to Ener Charge 1. Pretty simple. Then you can use, your abilities, like Hanyo's ability or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
The spell, however, really easy to do. It's called Grow Wings. Tiffany, you want to read
it? Sure. So this is a free green spell. It costs 0 green. Choose one. If there is a Dissona Signy on your field, Ener Charge 1. Or 2, add target Dissona Signy from your Ener Zone to your hand. Life Burst, Ener Charge 1, then add up to 1 target Signy from your Ener Zone to your hand or put it onto your field. Or put it onto your field? Oh, that's kind of nice.
No, I think...
And it's an open library.
This is cool. This is, in my opinion, one of the best cards in the set.
Another hot take.
I know.
You're saying that green's getting a lot of best cards in the sets recently.
Well, no, I said Werewolf. Werewolf is probably one of the best green cards
ever
that has been printed. Yeah, I'm saying this one out of this set is genuinely good. I think
spell.
I think you're gonna find that there are these like decks that are like mostly red, black, and I don't know, white or something, and whatever, right? And they're gonna still be running 2 of these because 1, it's free, so there's no downside. I mean, other than if it ends up in your Ener, that's a colorless cost if you can't use green. But a lot of these Dissonas just say use a Dissona card, so it's technically Dissona colored if you're using Dissona costs.
Sure.
The ability to get a Signy from your Ener Zone late game and put it into your hand so you've got toolboxing is great.
Yeah, but we've seen that before, and it hasn't been super good. So what makes it different for this set?
Because that one, anytime we've seen it before, it's cost 1 green.
Oh yeah, so
this
you're actually taking 2 out of your
right. This is basically a spell that says for free. It doesn't not for free. Excuse me. This is a spell that says Ener Charge 1 or pay 1 Ener draw card. Both those rates are fine.
Mm-hmm.
Both those rates are great, and the Life Burst is fantastic.
The life burst is pretty good.
There's so many Dissona that we've shown so far that have enter effects.
You know what's great about this is that it says add up to 1 target Signy from your Ender zone to your hand or put it onto the field. So if you happen to have a guard in your Enter, you just put that right back into your hand.
Yep. Or if you have a Firecracker in your Enter, you put it on the field and then you kill something else. You block a lane and you kill an open lane. There's a lot of things to like about this card, I think.
I think so too. Are we gonna see a spells comeback? I mean, look.
Yes.
Milaloon.
Top forward.
Top forward, yes, and is a spell heavy deck, unlike almost all of the rest of the decks.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time, decks don't run that many spells because Signies can do what spells do just as fine. However, we've seen some pretty powerful spells for Dissona.
I agree.
Ooh.
There is specifically a spell, Pure Luke, I think, that comes out in the next set. Mm-hmm. So you'll see some spell stuff later, but not right now, probably.
Spoilers. Let's move right along. This is your mill package.
Mm-hmm.
As if we need more mill packages. Do you wanna talk about these?
Sure. So we've got Maho Maho here, in Atoms. It's a 3,000 power. It says whenever the Signy attacks, put the top 2 cards of your opponent's deck into the trash. Level 1. Ironically, this is one of the first times. Actually, both of these are one of the first times that you're seeing Dissona that are powerful enough and also don't say anything about other Dissona. So you can run these in any deck. But these are your mill packages for Dissona stuff. Now, mill is better when you are seeing a turn 6 format because naturally mill happens more often.
It's a war of attrition.
Right. Then a turn 4, turn 5 meta, which I'm concerned that we might be going into, so mill might be less powerful. But Maho Maho helps out with that then. By being a level 1, that when it attacks mills 2, right? You just hit that and then do some other milly stuff that you normally are doing, and you'll build the opponent out. We've got another one here. This is, I don't remember its name, but I know its type is bacteria.
Cute.
It is a level 3, 10,000 power. Says whenever the Signy attacks, put the top 6 cards of your opponent's deck into their trash.
That's pretty deep.
Yeah, it's deep.
That's a deep mill.
It's no Phalaris.
Especially for level 3. I mean, yeah, it's no Phalaris. But for level 3, when you get that far into the game, that's like a third to like half of a person's deck by that point.
Yeah.
Like, so, depending on who you're going up against.
The magic math is 15. You got to make your opponent discard 15 cards over the course of the game in order to have this be a good have mill be basically effective, right? So the interesting thing is this works well with these pieces that mill 10, because 16 is higher than 15. I know, surprise mathematician over here. So it still works. It also answers something that is a niche that Phalaris can't do, which is, what if you're an aggro deck, Tiffany, and you open up all the lanes? Well, Phalaris can't mill because Phalaris needs to vanish a Signy.
Right.
So,
but this one just says when it attacks.
Correct.
It does the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Seems good to me.
Mill's still good. Mill does its thing. This is a way that you can do it. There's also ways to recur level 3s in this set. As we'll see in a bit, so specifically in black. Yeah. So you can get this back, and you can toolbox with it. So
nice. Also
worth mentioning.
Very cute.
We go into our next section, which is the filtering and draw section. This is basically I didn't put card advantage down, although theoretically it's just card advantage. We often call filtering. We often call straight up draw. They're two different things, but they all help towards the same goal, which is fixing your hand for long term. God bless you.
Thank you. Sorry, y'all.
So we've got 4 cards here that all more or less do that same thing. Tiff, can you read Tamago?
You don't want to read Tamago?
No, I'm fine.
Okay, very good. All right, so the first one is Tamago. First of all, look at her. Look at her.
She's just cute.
Adorable.
Alice in Wonderland, right?
I love that her skirt has teeth on it. How fun is that? How fun is that? Just so fun. All right, so we've got Tamago, Dissona Planet Queen. It is a level 3 blue Signy, Dissona type with 10,000 power. Auto, when this Signy attacks, you may discard a card. If you do, draw 2 cards. It's kind of nice. Action, down 2 up to Larig, draw a card. Yeah, so lots of card advantage with this. Lots of cycling in the hand. So whenever, like, this is very close to Madoka Float, which allows you to discard a card and then draw 3. This one, you're discarding a card and you draw 2. But then you can additionally down 2 upped Larigs, which...
Your assists.
Yeah, and you could very easily do that. There's not... unless you're, like, harmonying, which we haven't really seen in the Dissona set.
Nope.
You should have that pretty much available to you every turn. And then you just draw an additional card. Seems good.
Yeah, I think some of the Dissona stuff has a lot of discard a card from your hand to do this effects. So you might end up being a little dry in your hand. And I think Tamago helps fill that out that you wouldn't normally have. The next card is, I don't remember what it's called, but it's Yuki's spell here. It's also Dissona spell. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck, add up to 2 Dissona Signy from them to your hand, and put the rest on the bottom in any order. Its life burst is return target upped Signy to the opponent's hand.
Nice.
It costs white. So this fails the check mark that you're trying to hit on a lot of these white effects, which is let me find my guard. Because you can't get a guard off of it, you can get a Dissona. That was
Yeah, it does clarify Dissona Signy, so you can't get like a Dissona spell off of it either.
Yeah. That was the same issue that that Anj was running into Virtuals. I think Anj would have been unstoppable if it could get guards, but it couldn't.
Yeah, that was its Achilles heel.
But being able to toolbox with Dissona is still good. So this card is still above average and worth mentioning as just a way to filter and draw.
Sure.
This next one you'll like. It's called Matcha, by the way.
Is it? She's so cute. Oh, that must be the straw. Okay, I was wondering what was going on.
Yeah, it's Matcha straw.
All right, so Matcha. Ironic that it's a blue Signy. It's a blue level 1 Signy with power 3000. Auto, once a turn, when you discard a Dissona card, freeze opponent's target Signy. Cool. Enter, discard a Dissona card and draw a card. Yeah, nice. So this one also, like, it has that distinction between a Dissona card versus a specifically Dissona Signy.
Yep.
So you can discard any Dissona card to activate this ability. Freezing opponent's target Signy is fine.
I mean,
we do wish that it would down and freeze, but freezing is also fine.
Yeah. We use that same effect in Neon Tetra. This is just an upgraded Neon Tetra. I should also mention there's a life burst here that didn't get in the slide. The life burst is down and freeze target Signy, draw card.
That's so ironic. Why would you make Matcha a blue card? Anyways.
Okay. I'll defend Matcha here. Matcha, blue is also the domain of plants. Plant Signy are in both green and the blue.
Oh, okay. So this is kind of the...
It's a little par for the course here. So I would say because we already know that blue can get plant Signy, often using aquatic plants, for example, like seaweed and stuff.
Sure.
This one makes sense because matcha is a plant, but it also can be a liquid.
But it's also a drink, but it's freezing stuff?
Yeah, well, it's a frozen matcha latte thing. Here, I'll move the art for you.
Okay.
All right. We'll
I don't think it's live updating on my end, by the way.
I don't know. It should refresh on your end, but it's there. It's there now. I moved it.
I believe you.
Anyways,
I mean, look.
Just refresh the page. It'll do it.
Hold on.
While you do that, I'll talk.
I need to rectify. Oh, yeah, it does have to. Ooh. All right, so it's a matcha frap.
Yeah, see? So it's got the freezing stuff in it.
I'll allow it. As if it's up to me.
So
sure, okay.
Neon Tetra is a card we already use. Neon Tetra is a card where it enters, you just freeze target Signy. It's actually pretty good outside. 3,000 power, mind you, and it has the same life burst. This is Neon Tetra, but you also filter a card.
It's pretty good.
And that's great. Like, you took an average card and made it kind of like how Yuki, right? Yuki's vanilla is actually pretty average on its own.
Yeah.
Yuki is move something into another lane, pretty average on its own. put both of them together, that card's fantastic now.
That's true.
This is, I think, something similar with this one. I think this card is going to be underrated. This card can freeze a Signy, which is average but good. Getting to filter one card from your hand so you can get a better card is also average but good. Neither one of them are like, yeah, I need to use this on something.
But put
them together, this is suddenly a king of utility.
I mean, it is...
Queen of utility, excuse me.
Or what have you.
Cup of utility,
cup.
It's a cup.
Drink of utility. A matcha frap of utility, if you will. I think what's cool, like, now that you've said that, putting them both on the same card is interesting because you can discard a Dissona card to draw a card, and then you can additionally discard a Dissona card, which is probably the card that you just drew anyways, to be able to activate that ability. And if you're going to be playing this on, like turn 2 and beyond, if your opponent is downing all of their Signy anyway on the previous turn, then you can freeze them so that they don't up. So actually, the timing on this isn't too bad, as long as you're not playing it right on your first turn.
Yeah.
And it's especially good, I think, in the late game.
I agree.
So then, like, the more powerful Signys can't up, and then your opponent's like, well, I guess I'll enter this.
Sometimes you just need something that says target to mess with Exia, and this has that word on it, too. So
Truth.
That's
and it's kind of, you know what, you're right. I've come around to it. I've come around.
The next card is Kagya, something like that. Kaja, Rough Play. I think it's a trickster. It is a level 2 black card, 8,000 power. It has the action ability to down it, and you can put the top 3 cards of your deck into your trash. And then the action ability is you can pay black, and then you can take target Signy from your put the Signy from the field to the trash. Grab a level 3 Dissona Signy from your trash and put it on the field.
Oh, I see.
So,
and then a Life Burst.
Life Burst that put target Dissona from your trash into your hand or the field. Again,
okay.
Excellent. There's so many Dissona that have enter abilities. This Life Burst where you're able to put something directly in the field, fantastic.
Yeah, and I think that, this is very classic black trash recursion.
Yep.
So
black the level 3 Signy.
It's very obtainable.
The level 3 Signy are particularly powerful in this set, especially because half of them are your partner Signy.
Yeah.
For your Dissona centers.
I think that this card is actually great because this I feel like to newer players this will be a very misleading card because it's kind of like, well, why would you down this card because now you have a down Signy on your field? No, this Signy is actually a spell. With this Signy, because you're never going to attack with this Signy ideally, right?
I agree.
So this Signy actually says put this card on the field and down it, and then trade it with paying a black. Trade this Signy for something more powerful that you just put into the trash from milling yourself through.
Yep, that is exactly how that card works. With an excellent Life Burst, and it has the upside of, unlike a spell, at worst, it can be a Signy that attacks.
At worst.
Right? Which is great.
It's already still, that's perfectly fine though, because it's just a level 2 8,000.
Yep.
So if you have to attack with a level 2 8,000, like that's still fine.
Or defend with a level 2 8,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks good. Looks good to
Grade
me.
A, I think it's one of the better cards in the set. The only downside is you have to play a fair amount of black to make it work because it's got the black cost.
Yeah. You're probably building something around this anyways. Or this is going to be part of another package that you're messing with.
The packages that I've been leaning towards building are either red packages, black packages, or green packages. Black is one of them. Moving right along to the next filtering or draw slide, we have. Oh, I didn't put in the thing there, guys. We're doing this early. These are the pieces. Yet. I can tell you what the first piece does right off the top of my head. Anyways, it costs. It's called Dissonance, and its costs is colorless. Pick 2 Dissona Signy from your trash and put them into your hand.
That's it.
That's it. Simple as that. One Ener, put 2
colorless.
1 Ener, put two Dissona from your trash to your hand.
Okay.
And Dissona, you toolbox a lot with them. That's great. It does a job. Is it exciting? No. Is it above average? Yes. Is it excellent? No. But it does the job. The other two are much better if you want to retake one of them.
Sure. I'll take first of all, before I do, the art on these is amazing.
Every single
Like,
one.
I'm just telling you, like the Dissonance set has gone so hard on the art. Like everything just looks so freaking cool. And maybe it's just because I have a more like gothy aesthetic
Yeah.
that like I deeply appreciate these like darker colored cards.
No, I do too. This is my favorite set by far because it's basically just Halloween Wixoss.
Yeah, it's Halloween Wheatgrass. It's amazing. Like, look at this. But also, I'll read off Unknown Memory, which if you are a fan of the original anime, you will recognize this character. It's very exciting, and I think it's cool that she is being like brought up from what appears to be a graveyard. That's really fun flavor. I like it a lot. All right, so this is a colorless cost 0 piece called Unknown Memory. It is a Dissona type with main phase timing. Choose one of the following. If you have 2 or more Lyric that share the same color on your field, instead choose up to 2 of the following. Number 1, vanish target level 2 or less Signy on your opponent's field. Number 2, draw 2 cards. Number 3, Ener charge 2. This is really interesting to me because if you have this piece in your deck, you can't play any Dream Team pieces.
No, you can play Dream. You can play this, but only get one of those effects instead of 2.
But what I mean is like because this is now doing like the opposite of what like
Correct.
the color restrictions is telling you to do, which is to have 3 Lyrics of 3 or more different colors.
Correct.
And then this is telling you, well, actually you get a benefit if you have 2 of the same.
Yeah, most of the time.
It's a very small benefit though.
I think it's great. I
think
this card is fantastic.
Explain yourself.
Sure. So I will say this. I agree with you currently on the first part, which is if I wanted to play, for example, Summer Lies Blues, or Dance of the Lands, I have basically had to give up my Dream Team piece, and it sucks. There's almost no reason you would do that ever. It's just power-wise a terrible choice. Suddenly, you have a valid reason to play double Elric colors now. This is a way to do it, right? Getting the ability to draw 2 and Ener charge 2 is unexciting but good. It just is a big old power boost. Getting the ability to vanish target Signy and do either of these is great. I mean, we love Summer Lies Blues, which costs 2 blue Ener, mind you. 2 blue Ener to draw 2 cards and bottom deck an opponent's Signy. This costs 0 Ener, big old goose egg, and can draw you 2 cards and vanish a Signy. It does something similar to Summer Lies Blues.
Or Ener charge 2.
Right, or Ener charge 2. I like this card a lot. Okay. And the piece that I always say is the most borderline piece in the world. It's the most average. It's never amazing. It's never great. And it's never awful.
The most mid of
pieces is Xenocluster.
Yeah.
And this
nowadays.
This is without the double color is actually pretty close to Xenocluster. It's Xenocluster with the added benefit of you can also vanish the Signy at worst. So if the opponent's messing with your Ener, you can get some Ener back. If the opponent's messing with your hand, you can get some cards. If the opponent is doing neither of those things, you can vanish the Signy. It is probably, in my head, replaces Xenocluster as the most mid piece ever. If you're only getting one of those effects. If you're getting both of those effects, I genuinely think this is a good piece.
I don't know that I agree with you, but I'm more inclined to trust you than not believe.
There's also going to be some future pieces in the future, spoilers, that have the ability, that are Dream Team pieces, but specifically don't say the color restrictions anymore. And when that happens, because you can still only have one Dream Team, that means that you can play this as well with the Dream Team piece in the future. It becomes much better. I think this is one of the more interesting cards in the set. I think if you're already playing a deck that, for example, Adams wants to play Deus as a center, Machina as its assist. That's 2 black.
Yeah.
Which means that you were kind of forced into running things like Death Deck. Well, this is suddenly more power at a cheaper cost for those types of decks.
It is certainly like just going over all of the Dissona cards together. This one feels different.
Yeah.
It definitely feels different. It will be interesting to see how people play
this is also one of those cards that, unlike the rest of this, which doesn't play well with others, this has legs in other decks, not just Dissona.
Literally has legs.
Yeah.
Look at her legs.
Oh, those are legs. Sunspot Memory is a weirder one.
I love the art on this.
I don't fuck.
It's so glitter. Like I don't know how to explain it. It's just like the composition is great.
There's a lot of energy in it.
The movement is fantastic. It's very kinetic.
Yeah.
I really like
it somehow
the
has
stars that are like a callback to her earrings.
Oh yeah.
Like
it somehow has all the energy that a gestural drawing does, while the cleanness of a real drawing.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Just love it.
Art corner aside. Here's the
I'll never shut up about it.
Here's the piece. Sunspot Memory costs white and colorless. Dream Team piece, gotta have 3 or more different colors on your L-Rig section. You look at the top 5 cards, top 3 cards of your deck, and you can reveal a Dissona among them, put it to your hand. That's less good, right? You want it to be put 2 cards in your hand, top 5, right? That's white's like baseline. So this is less good. You can't put a guard to your hand. But you can put Dissona. Dissonas are strong. It's got another thing though that makes up for it. You get an L-Rig barrier. You get a Signy barrier.
These are new.
Oh, these are new. They basically are little ways to block damage. So if a Signy would attack you and deal damage to you, and you have a Signy barrier, instead it doesn't deal damage. Same thing with an L-Rig. This also stops, for example, Double Crush.
True, because one barrier will stop the damage from both damages and Double Crush. Because remember, Double Crush says that when you deal 1 damage, you crush 2 life cloths.
Yep.
So Double Crush is just 1 damage that crushes 2 life cloth. So as long as you block 1 Double Crush, you block them all.
Yeah, so there's some interesting things to talk about for that card itself. I think if you are like, I want to be Sachet, but I don't want to be Sachet, then this is the way to do that.
You think so?
Yeah, I mean, it basically blocks. It's one of the first pieces that blocks 2 damage. And you can Dissona. I assume that means you're going to get some kind of damage dealer. So it's this piece could equate to 2 Ener, prevent 2 damage, deal 1 damage, and that's good. That's good math. I like it.
All right, very cool. Oh, also, I understand what's happening now. Her old Tama clothes are transforming she's transforming from white Tama to black Tama.
Correct. And yeah, she's got her white hair that's turning into black hair.
Very cool. All right. Moving on to our next section. The most annoying package in Wixoss, I think we can all agree.
Yeah.
Discard.
Yeah, it's got some powerful stuff here. But what's funny is all the things that discard usually like wants to add as support that I've been clearly saying throughout this whole podcast too aren't here, right? Like the ability to get guards is not present in this set with Dissona. Like so the idea of like being this control deck and discarding your opponent's cards are smaller in this deck, to be honest with you. So the big bad Esper control, for example, is not gaining much off of these discard cards. But it does open up things to more proactive strategies. So, for example, the Milliloon strategy, where you were trying to quickly get cards out of the opponent's hand to stop them from having guards so you could get more damage in, an aggro or tempo strategy. These, I think, are more powerful with this type of discard than necessarily the classic control discard that we're used to. But without any further ado, it's we've got our first one here. Its name is Pond Turtle.
Okay, but can we all agree that this is
A
actually
Ninja Turtle?
Teenage Mutant Ninja
Yeah,
Turtles?
she's got a pizza and she's
a ninja.
She's a ninja and she's got turtle motifs. She's a Ninja Turtle. She's got the za.
I love that this is Wecross's take on TMNT.
Yeah,
I love
my
it.
favorite thing too is the pizza is spelled without two Z's. I don't know
No, no,
why.
no. It's spelled with an X.
Oh, it
It's
is spelled
pizza.
pizza.
Pizza
Pizza
Wecross.
we cross. Mwah! Is she also chef's kissing? Is that what's I feel like she's not, but I feel
I
like it would
think
be
that this
better if
is
she's
more
like
like a
I
salute.
want to pretend she's finished the chef's kiss. Anyways,
Amazing.
Pond Turtle has the following ability. It's a level 1 blue Signy, 3000 power. As long as you got 2 or more cards in your hand than the opponent, this Signy gets plus 2000 power, which make it 5000 power. At the beginning of your attack phase, you may discard a Dissona card. If you do, your opponent discards a card. I wonder what that sounds like. I don't know. Like one of the best cards that has been in Wecross since like set 3, Monoman.
Mm-hmm.
It's just Monoman, but 5000 power, Tiffany. If you were thinking, my Monoman's not buff enough, now it is.
Now it is.
Um,
And she got the za.
and she's got the Za.
All right, moving along. We've got a Alos Paraluke Dissona Giant Insect. It's a blue Signy, level 3, 12,000 power, Dissona type. Auto, once a turn, during your turn, when you discard a Dissona card, target Signy on your opponent's field gets minus 3,000 power until end of turn. Auto, whenever the Signy attacks, you may put a Dissona card from your Ener zone into your trash. If you do, your opponent discards a card at random.
Mm-hmm.
We like the at random because there's always a chance to snipe a guard.
Yeah. So this card is, if we're trying to bar, like trying to gauge its like its metric, right? The bar that it's at. This sounds a lot like ZR to me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
actually.
ZR is also a level 3 blue Signy that
does negative effects and discards your opponent.
Correct. Now, I think ZR is a little bit more flexible because you can also draw a card off of it, and that's half the reason why that card is really good, is that against the mirror, you can draw cards instead of making the opponent discards.
Mm-hmm.
But it's similar. But I think this one might be a little bit more not necessarily more powerful, but it's a Dissona, so it fits into more of these aggressive strategies, which would innately mean that, quote unquote, it can be more synergistic with the things around it. So I think ZR is probably a hair better than this, but it's worth mentioning. I think it's at that power level.
Sure, for sure.
Continuing the tradition of all of these cards are just different Dissona versions of another card. Extra costs 1 blue. It's a spell that says if you've used a non-Dissona spell this turn, you can't use this spell. It's basically just saying you have to use Dissona spells. You get to draw a card, and then your opponent discards a card. And then you can't use non-Dissona spells this turn. The whole reason for the Dissona tax there is this is just random drain.
Oh, so you can't.
So they don't want you double up on the random drains.
I kind of appreciate that though, because that would just become insane.
8 random drains can be kind of crazy.
That would be devastating.
So this is their way of being like, no,
chill.
relax. Its life burst is distinctly different than random drain though.
All right.
Whenever target Elrig or Signy on the opponent's field attacks this turn, negate that attack unless your opponent discards 3 cards.
Let me read that again. Whenever target Lyrig or Signy on your opponent's field attacks this turn, negate that attack unless you're... So you're making your opponent pay 3 cards to attack. Per.
Not per. I mean, like, whenever target.
Oh, whenever target.
So yeah, if you put this on
Tama.
So
you could put this on Tama.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that would stop all Tama attacks, I'm not gonna lie. I just, like, as a Tama player, I'd be like, I'll die, I guess.
I don't have to.
I've already, like,
I think that's the gimmick anyways, is that you're playing blue, the opponent doesn't have 3 cards, so basically it just negates end damage. Is it better than random drain? I think so.
Is it?
I think so.
I mean...
It stops an Elrig damage.
Draw a card, your opponent discards a card.
And I think that's better.
I guess so.
Even though you get the downside of you can't make the opponent discard a card for free.
And you can't additionally use random drains. You can only use extras.
Yeah, you can use extras. Or grow wings. Again, you can use grow wings with this. That's a Dissona
True.
spell.
Yeah, yeah.
Miko Fan, we've already talked about. You can watch the last podcast for information on that. Miko Fan is just good. Being able to discard your opponent down
Mm-hmm.
is great, and additionally being able to gain Shadow is pretty good. Its Life Burst is okay.
Life Burst is okay.
It's just okay.
All right. Moving along to the Ener Denial package.
Mm-hmm.
These cards are cute too.
Yeah, they're both Elrigs that don't have Elrigs. They're like Elrigs from the movies or something, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, let us know in the comments section down below if you recognize these characters. I would love to know.
I'm brain farting on their names right now, but I could probably look it up if I really wanted to, but I'm not
Sure.
going to.
Yeah, let us know in the comments. Educate us.
Do you want to read these ones?
Sure. So the first card is a level 2 red Signy with 5,000 power. And it says, at the start of your attack phase, if you used a spell this turn, put target card from your opponent's Ener zone that doesn't share a color with your opponent's center Larig into the trash. Life Burst, you may discard a card. If you do, vanish target Signy with 12,000 power or less. Pretty good Life Burst, honestly. At the start of the attack phase, if you used a spell this turn, put target card from your opponent's Ener zone that doesn't share a color with the center into the trash. Yeah, seems decent, especially with all
Lallaroo.
Lallaroo.
I had it next to me. Lallaroo.
Is Lallaroo a Larig?
She was in the anime, but she wasn't, or some side
But not
story,
in
but
the
not
game?
not in the game. Well, not in Diva. Anyways,
Dang,
as far as
justice for Lallaroo.
yeah.
Um, anyways, so, yeah, I think that this is pretty decent, actually. I think it's okay, because we've already seen with a lot of the other Dissona spells that you're probably going to be playing more spells this set than you normally would. So being able to Ener deny your opponent at least one Ener, when you've already used a spell, that's pretty good. And you're probably going to start using spells around your turn like 2 to 2.5 anyways.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's fine. I think that the Life Burst is pretty good. You're probably going to have a card in your hand, at least one, even if you're going up against like discard cards, because there's so much card advantage to be seen across all colors, that I would definitely discard a card to vanish Signy with 12,000 or less.
Yeah, totally.
Even if it's just to make sure that I don't have to deal with it my next turn.
Yeah, totally.
All right.
The next one is a level 2 Signy. It is 8,000 power. It's blue.
It's blue.
If your opponent has if your opponent's frozen Signy is vanished in battle with this Signy, you put it into the trash instead of the Ener zone.
Okay.
Its enter effect is that the opponent has one or less cards in their hand, you freeze target Signy, and this also gets a power boost. Power boof.
Power
buff.
Or power boost.
Power boost. So basically, if you're using this with a freeze package, this is 12k. This is also, ironically, both of these are one of the ones that don't act. Neither one of these need to be Dissona. But ironically, this is one of the first ones that we're seeing that play well outside of Dissona as well.
Yeah, there's no Dissona
taggage on any
yeah.
of them, really.
Well, I mean, they are Dissona Signy.
Correct.
But they don't require Dissona for their effects.
Correct. So, this, I've said this since the beginning of the game. Freezing was bad. And the reason why freezing was bad is because it's a super reactive strategy that doesn't actually forward your game plan. It just stalls, and that's not good. This, however, has a bit more of a game plan. It trashes the frozen Signy.
Yeah.
That's utterly amazing.
Yeah, that's way better.
You need to do stuff like that for freezing Signy in order for a freeze to be any good. And the fact that you can make this 12k so you can freeze a level 3 and then crack it, shatter it is great.
Yeah, I think that that's pretty good. I think that this is going to be a really interesting card, especially for players out there that really like playing with freezing Signies. Like this will shine for you. Yeah. This and Matcha will really help to boost your win condition.
Are we there yet for it to be great? Probably not. But set 13
it's better.
Set 13 has some more frozen stuff, shenanigans in it. which is good.
Yeah.
So you'll have options. We're at the last slide, Tiffany.
Whoa, we've come so far. Let's talk about utility signies.
Okay. So the first one's name is Palaby. I know that. It's Palaby.
Palaby?
Yeah.
Okay.
At least that's the Japanese name for it. I have a love-hate relationship with this card. First off, its art is really cute.
I can't see it.
What do you mean? It's utility 19.
Yeah, I know.
How come you can't see it?
It's not on my slides.
Refresh your slide.
Okay.
Palaby is got only one half of Yuki's effect, and not the second half, which I hate. And it has. Did it work for you?
No, it's okay.
Um,
You guys can see it. That's what's
Yeah.
important. Tell me in the comments down below how cute the Signy art is, because I'll have to vicariously live through you.
It has only one half of the. I guess I'll just take it from here.
Yeah.
It's got one half of the Yuki ability. It's a level 1 white Signy, power 2000, that says enter target opponent Signy loses all its abilities till end of turn.
Yeah.
Its life burst is choose one. All of your opponent's Signy loses their ability till end of turn, or draw 2 cards. You seem very shocked, Pika-faced over here. I hate that life burst.
Why?
I think it's awful.
You think it's awful?
Terrible. I think it's a terrible life burst.
I mean, look, if you don't burst this life burst right at the top of the attacks, it's gonna be bad.
Yeah, you can hit this with the how feel bad is it if your lanes are all open, the opponent hits you with a double crush right now, and this is one of the things things that you show. They lose abilities. Great, cool. Crack, crack, crack. You're still dead. You know?
I suppose so, but like not all Signy's abilities, are strictly during the attack phase. Like if the opponent attacks, let's say with a remember, and you flip this, that remember does not tax you for a guard.
Yeah. I would rather get rid of the remember.
I mean,
it's as simple as that.
It is preferred, I suppose. But also, like, if you flip this during like the later half of the attack phase and you draw 2 cards, you could get a guard off.
But you don't get. See, that's the thing. You keep saying, but you could get a guard off of it. So you keep admitting preventing damage is better. And this doesn't prevent damage.
I'm just trying to think positively. Okay?
No, and here's the second part. Palaby's ability to make something lose abilities is half of Yuki and not full of Yuki. It's okay. It's seriously okay. It is like we said earlier with Matcha. It's one half of an ability that is above average without having a little extra added to it.
I suppose so. So is this one of like the first like just it's all right Dissonance Ignis that we've come across in this set?
Yeah.
I mean, look, there's a ton of cards in this set that we haven't talked about. It's just that a majority of these are pretty good.
Yeah.
And this is one of the better of the okay
and the ones we haven't talked about just aren't really good enough to talk about. But that doesn't mean that there's more cards here on average than we ever did. We had to split it into 2 podcasts. Both podcasts went over an hour. So there's still a lot of good cards here. And I will say this. Palaby wins the most I'll begrudgingly play it award.
Okay, so why would you play this card?
Because there's so many life bursts that say put a Signy from your Ener into the battlefield, or put your Signy from your trash into the battlefield, right? To the field. And Palaby entering has an enter ability that shuts down Assassin, Lancer, S-Lancer, these attack things.
I see.
So there's still use for it. It's so mid, but because its abilities happen to be just begrudgingly good enough, and there's enough support around it, you'll play it. Even though that life burst sucks. Every time I lose a game with that life burst, I'm going to look at it and be like, if you were a Yuki, my life would be better.
I mean, you could just put Yuki in there. Nothing is stopping you from that.
It's yes, something's stopping me. Yuki doesn't have the Dissonance tag on it.
I was getting to that.
That's a big deal right now.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean that you like physically can't play it. Like no one is stopping you. This is a self-imposed restriction. However, I get what you're saying now, is that this card with its Dissona tag, even though it's not a Yuki, it is made better by other cards that could bring it back
Right.
onto the field.
Right.
Okay.
And the fact that we need Dissona at a critical mass.
Critical mass.
So it is begrudgingly good enough.
All right.
Like, its abilities, like, I want its abilities from, if this is a scale, to hit here, right? I'm not expecting it to hit here, just here. And it always goes, it never gets the whole way. But fine, whatever. Yuka Yuka is better.
Let's talk about Yuka Yuka.
Yuka Yuka is also one of the few times where this isn't a Dissona only card. You can play this in your non-Dissona decks. You could play this in Tama if you wanted to. It's a white level 2, 8,000 power. It has the action ability of white down it. Target Signy, you add a target Signy from your trash with guard to your hand.
Okay. All right.
This is like that one Signy, or that one spell that you play to get a guard back to your hand, which is all marginal play. But it's a level 2 that you also can block a lane with. So not necessarily great in Tama aggro, I will admit.
Yeah,
that was a bad choice. But Remember might want to play this.
Remember might like this. Yeah, because, I mean, what this is really telling you is that I am a spell that you can put on the field and I will defend you.
Block a lane. 8,000.
But I will also get you back a guard if you pay me 2 white.
It also has a life burst. You want to see those level 2s have life bursts. It says target Signy on your opponent's field gains constant can attack. You draw a card.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Pretty good.
Yeah, so this is your defensive Signy.
Pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, the thing that's holding this down from being in a Dissona deck is, we've already talked about this, white is not that great.
So it's one of the weaker colors,
right.
Shockingly.
So having not only a 1 white cost, but a double white cost is like not doable. So I think you'll actually see this in the long term, see more play in non-Dissona decks than Dissona decks.
Interesting. Especially with the color restrictions lifted. I mean, this one is tricky though, because you have to pay 2 white. Like, this is not something that you would have to put this in a deck that already has a very strong white presence.
Oh yeah, wait. You know what deck really wants to play this, in my opinion? Sirloin Seal. You can tell me in the comments below if I'm right. Sachet.
You think Sachet?
Sachet would, yeah, I guess.
I would think Ange, because Ange's weak point is that it can't get back guards, but this one would be able to.
But Ange wants to attack. I mean, I guess
but you can't always attack. Like, this is a good defensive card that will get you back guards for Ange.
Sure.
I'm not saying, look, y'all know me. If you are a longtime listener of this podcast, you will know that I am not super great at building decks. So please take that opinion with a grain of salt if you want to try it out for yourself. And let us know how it goes in the comment section down below.
The last card here was Matcha. We already talked about
which
Matcha.
we spoke about previously.
Yeah. It's a good card. It has great utility. I think even sticking this in a deck that needs life bursts and filters your hand a little bit is probably fine. Probably above average. I almost want to use Matchas more than I want to use Pelibis, because I can trigger an Exio with a Matcha just the same I can with the Pelibis.
Sure.
And then I can also do other things, and then I can bounce the non-Exia target. All right, Pelibis aside.
Pelibis aside.
This is a really strong set, guys. You're gonna see Dissona decks out the wazoo.
Yeah.
I think Dissona has a very definitive niche in the meta, which is aggro and mid-range decks. If you want to play an aggro and mid-range deck, I think you are playing a Dissona deck, because all of the effects that those do are just powerful enough that they're there. I don't think you're playing a Dissona control deck right now. Maybe in set 13 when there's more cards released. Now,
there doesn't seem to be a very strong control presence in Dissona.
Yeah, and the fact that I can't play Exia is worse. So I think you're gonna see Dissona for a while.
I think so too.
I think it's gonna be sticking around, and I don't think that's terrible. I think it's actually good for the game. But
I think so too. I think that we needed a little bit. I think we needed a little bit of a boost for more aggressive strategies.
Yep.
Because I think that the
non-white aggressive strategies.
Non-white aggressive strategies, because I think that the heavy presence of blue and white control strategies was starting to not drag the game down, but make it a little bit more stale.
Yeah.
So I would
Stagnant.
look stagnant. Yeah, I would see this as like a nice boost to other archetypes, a little bit of a power level refresh. So this is going to give like some power creep to places that really needed it, such as green. Our time has come. Like our time has come. It gives a little bit of a boost to like freeze, which like I understand that it's not the strongest method to win a game, but for people that really like experimenting with that,
I'm
like
happy.
you've gotten some attention.
Yeah, I'm more than happy to see colors get some of their unexplored game design areas more power, right? Rather than go ham on the things that blue is already really good at and just buff it up even more.
Yeah.
They didn't do that with this set, and I like that.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, guys, I think that's it. That's all we got time for.
Thank you for listening to this big fat two-parter breakdown of the new Dissonance set. It's gonna be a good time. I think that this is gonna be a really fun, like challenging set to play. And I'm looking forward to playing against all of you in the future. Please let us know your thoughts about this set in the comment section down below. Please make sure you subscribe so you never miss a podcast or future breakdowns about the Dissonance set. And may you always flip a life burst.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, everyone.